right there on top of the moon. We could sit and do nothing. I wish we were.
That's as powerful as Harry Kane. Top goal scorer for England, top goal scorer for Tottenham. He's like a superhero. You think to yourself, well, nothing can affect him. Right, it affects everyone. It affects every single human being on this earth. Mental health is so fucking serious. Anyone that is suffering from it, please speak up about it. Because at the end of the day, you are who you are. You are special, you're unique, you're inspirational. You being alive could inspire the next generation. You being alive could be the next generation. Please stay here, speak up about it. Because at the end of the day, you're a human being and you're just like the rest of us. Every footballer, every celebrity, you're just like the rest of us. Yes, you've got money, you've got cars, you've got houses, but it doesn't mean you can't cry. It doesn't mean you can't feel, you can't go through pain. So hello everyone, thanks again for tuning in and watching the very first episode from my mental health series. This will be the second episode that I'll be filming, and it'll be basically, I'll be focusing on more now also addiction, so gambling, alcoholism, drug addiction and whatnot. But I'll also be going over almost like being loaned out as a footballer, or being or going away on an international, I don't know, to another team should I say. So that's what I'll be focusing on as the subjects for this episode. You see, what a lot of people get confused about addictions is the fact that people think, oh, he's just drinking, or he's just taking drugs, oh look, there's something wrong with him. And it's just, what people don't understand is, yeah, there is something wrong, but they always quick to assume that they're just doing it because they're nuts or something, or they're just doing it because he can't control it. It's just like, what they've got to understand is, yeah, they're right, we can't control it in a sense, but there is a serious problem, and it's nothing to be ashamed of, because what a lot of people do is they, like I was saying, they'll quickly jump the gun and they'll think almost like the worst case scenario, but they might not know there might be a small problem that can easily be maintained, but because we're not getting the right help for it, we can't maintain that problem. And for me, what the most troubling thing is around addiction and football is the fact that footballers are unfortunately continuously, they're open to all of this. They're freely open to all of these things that's going on. Alcohol, they're freely open to drugs in a sense. I mean, I'm not saying it's on their doorstep, but everywhere they go, there's an advert that says bet for this, bet for that. Every football game, you've got adverts for beer, you've got adverts for whatnot. And it's just got to a point now where they're so exposed to all this bad stuff that it almost becomes part of the job. And see, what's really annoying as well is the fact that with alcohol and drugs, as I was saying earlier on, it goes hand in hand. And in the sense of that, it's like when you drink a lot, you end up getting exposed to drugs, or when you have drugs, like you get exposed to drink, and it goes hand in hand. And unfortunately, it's almost like you're struggling to try and take this pain away, but at the same time, you know there's a problem, and it's like a catch-22. You know you've got to stop, but you want to take this pain away, and you get prescribed antidepressants, but they're not quick enough. So you think to yourself, what can I do to take this pain away right now, in a sense? And it's like, that's how powerful it is. And what I was seeing recently about when ex-footballers talk about it, I mean, even Jesse Lingard, literally quite recently, he was talking about how at Manchester United he had a bit of a problem in a sense, and the only way you could get rid of it was certain toxic things during the evening and whatnot. I couldn't remember what he said specifically, and I don't want to say something just in case it's wrong, but he was saying how he would try and take the pain away by having certain things. And it's just like, he's a current footballer and he's someone I look up to greatly because he's a really strong character and he's really brilliant at what he does. And he was going through that problem, and he was going through it silently. Obviously friends and family probably knew around it, but he was going through that really silently, and it's really upsetting to see because as strong as the character he is, he was struggling and he needed some help. But he probably knew that in the football industry he couldn't speak up about it because he'd probably be put on the front lines tomorrow morning, or he's going to be on the Daily Mail saying he's got a problem. And that's what the issue is more for me, is the fact that footballers may feel like they can't speak up because they feel like they're going to be shunning a spotlight. They're already shunning a massive spotlight, but as soon as they speak up, bang, they're almost forgotten about like yesterday's news and tossed aside. And that's horrible. Mental health can affect everyone, and it really does affect everyone. I mean, I'm just a normal citizen that just does everyday things. It affects me, but I'm human. Jesse Lingard's human. Mason Mount for Chelsea's human. Smith Rowe for Arsenal's human. And so they also go through their own issues. And it's very wrong to say that if they speak up about it, they're going to be on frontline news. And that's really horrible to see. And with alcohol and drugs and gambling, footballers are very exposed to it. So if they speak up about something, they say, hey look, I've got a bit of a problem towards alcohol. It's almost like this person can't control his alcohol. He's not a really good footballer. He can't control it. He should be shunning the light. And it's just like, that's bollocks. Because it's just like, they're coming out. They're gathering up all their strength. And they're saying, you know what, fuck it. I've got a problem and I need help. And we should fucking give them that help. Because footballers should not feel as if they can't speak up about their mental health. Not just footballers as well, but celebrities all included. But mainly, obviously, I'm talking about football. But in general, it's just like, if you've got a problem, please speak up about it. And you know what, I would love to give him a hug and say, well done to Jesse Lingard in a sense, not in a patronising way, but more to say, look, well done for speaking up about it, because it's so influential for what he's done. Hopefully it inspires other footballers to say, you know what, yeah, fuck it, I've got a problem, and say, yeah, you know, I'm going to come out and talk about it, because it's one of those things that you don't want people to hide away. Obviously, I know it's hard to speak up about it. I mean, it took me 15 years to really talk about bullying, my mental health and whatnot, but it's really important that you do speak up about it, because for me, football is my world. And to see people like Jesse Lingard speak up, you see Harry Kane also speak up about mental health, and you know what, it's just so fucking influential and so inspiring, and it's so lovely to see. There's a plane landing. And so I love it, and I really do love it, and for the people that have spoken up about it, you know, I take my hat off and I say, you know what, thank you for doing that, because you've shown other people that mental health is a serious thing, and drug abuse, alcoholism and gambling is a massive thing as well, especially in the football industry. And there is a problem. I mean, ex-footballers have come out and said it, and current footballers are currently saying it. So we need to help them and support them. So instead of shining them on frontline news tomorrow morning, how about we just talk to them as human beings, give them a hug and say, you know what, everything's going to be okay. You're human, you're just like us, and it's okay to not be okay. So hello everyone, welcome to part 2 of this episode. Part 2 is basically going to be covering transfers, being loaned out and also being bought by international clubs at a young age, and also at a certain age where it might also impact you. Say you're at the age of 27, you're going through your prime years, and then all of a sudden you get an opportunity to get loaned out. So in this episode I'll be exploring how that really impacts a person individually, being loaned out as well as being sold. So, yep, part 1, was glorious sunshine. Part 2 is raining cats and dogs. So yeah, let's get on with it, shall we? So why is being loaned out such an important part of your career? So it could be pros and there could be cons of it. So the pros of it would help you develop as a young player, or a person should I say, and it'll help you develop to reach your potential hopefully, or it'll help you develop and almost get used to like international cultures, how certain other styles play, because you're so used to, for example, if you're growing up in England, you're so used to British culture and how the style of football is played. But also the cons to that, for example, is you're not used to the language, and also ironically not used to the culture, so it might be a bit of a system shock. And so certain players thrive under being loaned out. For example, one of my favourite players, Jude Bellingham, really, when he got bought by Borussia Dortmund at such a young age, he's thrived on to become almost like one of England's future captains, and he shows the world just how brilliant he is. He's at age 19 I think, and he's already played for England about 20 times, played for Dortmund about 100 times, and he's such an important player for both on and off the pitch. So in this part I'll be discussing 3 major players, and 3 really of my favourite players in fact: Mason Mount, Smith Rowe and Jude Bellingham. I wanted to discuss them because all 3 players have been loaned out or bought by international clubs, and I wanted to explore how that has impacted on their careers, for the good and for the bad. So starting at a very young age, Jude Bellingham got bought by Borussia Dortmund. Transferred from Birmingham City, if I'm correct. If I'm wrong, apologise, but I think it's Birmingham City. And at such a young age, you think to yourself, is this it for me? Am I being bought by another club and that's it, forgotten about my career in the Premier League, forget about the Champions League, maybe my international career, forgetting about it? Because it can go really well, or it can go really badly. It can go really well in the sense of like you can thrive, just like Jude Bellingham is. He's thriving, brilliant, he's playing amazing football, creative, strength, and he's being a captain at such a young age, and he's showing so much charisma, both on and off the pitch. It's very inspirational. However, there was a chance for him to slip up, or anyone in that particular base, in the sense of like when you are loaned out or bought, there's a huge chance something could go wrong, and you're now stuck in another country. So being stuck in another country ain't all that bad, but at the same time, you don't know the language, you don't know the cuisine, you don't know really the lingo that goes on in a sense, and that's the same with everyone. You just don't know what's going to go on or what's going to happen. So it's very difficult, but also very exciting at the same time. So when people are being loaned out or being bought by international clubs, it doesn't mean they're bad, it doesn't mean they're rubbish or nothing. They're just maybe getting experience that they may not have been offered at their current club. Some players thrive currently. Phil Foden, Trent, all came from the academy and started for the first team, and they were fucking amazing. And they're still amazing today. But other players might need that little extra boost. Other players might need that bit of strength. When Smith Rowe got loaned out to Huddersfield and RB Leipzig, the German team, he just needed that little boost. And he's such an amazing character and a really important player for Arsenal today. Same with Mason Mount. I think he got loaned out to Derby County, or Derby, I'm not too sure how to pronounce it. But he got loaned out to that club. And in my opinion, it turned him into such an amazing important asset to Chelsea, because he came back and won the Champions League. He was amazing. Jude Bellingham got bought by Dortmund, and now he's one of England's best. So it's just an amazing to see that being bought internationally or being loaned out is really important. But I also want to discuss how also it can go all wrong and impact someone's mental health. So being loaned out is really fucking important, because it can really change someone's career. But at the same time, being loaned out or being bought by an international club can also affect someone's career in a negative way. Some players might not thrive, some players might feel lost, and some players might feel empty, especially when things might not work out. So for example, some players may go for a change, but that change might not always work out, and now they're stuck in an international country. So mentally, they may not feel like they're wanted back at home and wanted at their current club. So where do they turn to? They turn to the only means possible. They're lost in an international country, they don't know where to go. So for example, it's brilliant to see other players thrive, but it's also upsetting to see other players not being able to cope. When some players come to a certain club, they might not always play their best. They might not settle in straight away. People automatically assume because they've played brilliantly in one country, when they get loaned out or bought by another, they automatically instantly have to play brilliantly. But that might not always be the case. It might take them a year or 6 months to settle in, and some players might need that little bit of almost like a bit of a step back, just to get used to their surroundings and get used to what they're doing. Because like I was saying, they're coming to an international club, they might not speak the language, they might not understand what's going on. So it's very difficult to cope straight away. For example, my mental health is quite difficult with change. As soon as I go to a new location, I have to adapt to that change. I have to get used to it. So they're probably just getting used to that club and their surroundings.